My stepdad basically raised me like his own daughter. Only to, in the end, make a proposal I'll never be able to forget. James was practically a father to me. When my mom decided to move in with him, I was just 8 years old. And since I never really had contact with my biological father, who, besides being a terrible husband, was a completely absent dad, I kind of saw James as stepping into that role. Honestly, I'm grateful for that today. James was attentive, polite, caring, and loving. Not just to me but also to my mom. You could tell she was really happy with him. She would even tell people that James was an angel God had sent into our lives, that he was the kind of husband she had never had before, and the kind of father I never had. He used to drive me to school, help me with my homework. I was a really picky eater as a kid, and even though my mom was a good mom, she didn't have much patience for that. I remember James would sit with me, explain why I needed to eat each food, and would tell my mom, "You have to be patient. Sometimes it's not just a choice she's making." It was a very genuine father-daughter relationship. I felt emotionally attached to him, secure, and I trusted him completely. And during that time, he never once acted inappropriately. Not even a strange look. Nothing. Until I turned 22 and my mom suddenly passed away. It was completely out of the blue. She had a stroke while sleeping. We only realized what had happened after it was too late. She was gone before anyone could help. It was the most painful thing I've ever experienced. I also saw James completely devastated. He was grieving, lost without her. After she passed, I kept living in the house with him. First, because it felt natural, he had raised me. And second, because I was in college and working at the same time. I barely stayed at home. I was only there from midnight to about 5:30 in the morning before leaving for work. It was just enough time to shower and sleep. I rarely even saw James. Even so, during those short times at home, I started noticing that he was acting strange around me. It started one day when I was getting ready to go out with a friend. I was in my room, putting on makeup and getting dressed. When I came out to say goodbye to him, he looked at me and said I looked beautiful, that I reminded him of my mom, and that I looked a lot like her that day. The comment itself wasn't necessarily inappropriate, but the way he looked at me, it made me feel really uncomfortable. I didn't even know how to respond. I just stood there confused, and then I said thanks and left. That same day I told my friend about it. She said, "Girl, that's probably just grief talking. He probably sees your mom in everything right now." So I brushed it off. But then there was another day, a Saturday. I remember because I got home a little earlier than usual, around 4 p.m. He was sitting on the couch in the living room, staring at a turned-off TV. I asked him what he was doing, and he said he missed watching movies together as a family. We used to do that, just the three of us, me, my mom, and James. I'm an only child from my mom's side. My dad has other kids, but from my mom it was just me. So yeah, our little family was just us three. James asked me if I'd watch a movie with him, and I said yes, mostly out of pity. I told him I'd take a shower and change, and he should pick a movie while I was getting ready. When I came back and sat down, he had put on a super romantic movie. I immediately felt uncomfortable and told him, "James, can you put on something else? This doesn't feel right." He said that this was the movie he and my mom used to watch when they were alone, that it brought back good memories for him and that he missed that. Once again, out of pity, I stayed and watched the movie. But I sat on the other couch. The whole time, though, there was this strange energy in the room. I kept glancing over at him, not knowing exactly why I felt so uneasy. But I did. Deeply uneasy. These moments, though rare, started building up. He wasn't looking at me like a father anymore. His gaze started feeling wrong, dirty, and it made me sick. But then you start doubting yourself. No, he's just grieving. He's confused. He's trying to adapt. And at the same time, I wasn't a child. I was a 22-year-old woman. I knew something was off. Something had shifted. The breaking point was when I was washing dishes in the kitchen. He walked by behind me really close. Too close. The kitchen is big. There was no reason to brush up against me like that. And as he passed, he put his hand on my waist and gave a little squeeze. Like it was normal. Like it was something he always did. That's when it hit me. He was making a move. It wasn't in my head. From that moment on, I knew I needed to get out of that house. I started planning to move. But I also felt guilty. Leaving him alone felt cruel, even after everything. And yet I knew I couldn't stay. The longer I stayed, the more I was feeding this twisted narrative in his head. But before I could figure out a smooth way to leave, he dropped the bomb. One day he asked to talk. I thought it was about the house paperwork, since it was still in my mom's name. But instead he started complimenting me again, saying how beautiful I was, how much I reminded him of my mom. Strong, kind, beautiful. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. He told me he had loved my mom deeply, that he had been loyal and respectful toward her, but that sometimes love changes forms. And that the love he felt for me had changed. And then he said that if I wanted, he wanted to have a relationship with me. A real relationship. Loving, honest, guilt-free. I was in shock. If you want to understand what I felt in that moment, close your eyes and imagine your own father saying something like that to you. That's exactly what it felt like. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even speak. I just picked up my purse and walked out. I spent the night at my friend's house, the same one I had confided in before. I told her everything and she was furious. She said I should have yelled at him, told him off. But I told her. I couldn't even believe what I was hearing. All I could do was leave. I just needed to get out of there. I went back only to pack up my things. I'd already been considering moving out, and that just confirmed everything for me. I ended up leaving the house to him. After thinking it through, I realized that he had built most of it. My mom definitely contributed. She took care of the home, the family. But I didn't want to fight over it. I just wanted to move on. To try and rebuild my life and keep only the good memories of him, when he was like a father to me. We haven't spoken since. But even now, I wonder, was all that love and care he showed me when I was growing up truly genuine? Or had he always had some hidden intention, something that only stayed buried because my mom was around? Or maybe he just broke after losing her. Maybe it was a psychological collapse. I'll never really know. Hi, my loves. This story truly shook me. It's hard to imagine the pain and emotional confusion this woman went through. Being raised by a stepfather who treated her like a daughter, building a bond of trust and genuine love, only to have it all fall apart with an unacceptable proposal. It's deeply heartbreaking. Personally, I believe that love, respect, and family roles must have very clear boundaries. And what he did completely crossed that line. Even if he was emotionally broken by the loss of his wife, nothing justifies trying to turn a father-daughter relationship into something else. That's not love, that's selfishness. I keep thinking about the heavy doubt she still carries. Was his affection ever truly real, or did he always have hidden intentions? Sadly, she may never know. But the strength she showed by walking away from that house, by not allowing things to go any further, is truly admirable. And what about you? What do you think about this story? Do you believe he always had those feelings? Or was it all just a result of grief? Leave your opinion down in the comments. I'd really love to hear your thoughts on this. And if this story touched you in any way, give it a like, share it, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Here on True Life Confessions, we share real stories every week that make us reflect on life's boundaries, traumas, and hard choices. See you in the next video.